unfortunate for Riley, but Reagan Smith getting ready to go on even bars. Won the American Cup earlier this year, probably the biggest win of her young career.
And I'll tell you what, she has really done a tremendous job on the uneven bars. So much more difficult. You see these skills, these inside Stalter skills, those are basically new for her. A lot of releases.
She has a new connection coming up right here, down to the low bar. A little bit of a leg separation, but great connection.
Just so much more difficult than she was doing last year, though. Beautiful dismount in the air, just a couple of little slides on the landing, but you know, a lot of people said she's weak on bars in the past, but this routine right here has the potential to get a big score. She certainly has errors that she's going to need to clean up, but really a tremendous foot forward in the difficulty department.
And you see, these are those in-bar, her feet are a little bit flexed on each one, but that is very difficult to get your feet and legs all the way through the bar and right back up to handstand.
And this is a beautiful transition right here. Nice Stalder into a reverse hecht and connects it all the way down to the low bar. One of my favorite skills in gymnastics. Love that pack salto.
But these are where, this is the competition where she can really try those new skills before the national championships. Great dismount.
You know, she's only doing a couple events. She'll do beam tonight as well, but she told us that she's absolutely prepared to do all 4 events, but it's just not in the plan in preparation for the P&G Championships and then the World Championships in Montreal in October.
Saying, I have my money on her, and I think anytime he says that about anybody, I think that's a very good sign. Reagan Smith just doing 2 events tonight, but this is one of her best, the balance beam.
And if she were to have made that Olympic team in 2016, this is where she would have really solidified her spot. Not doing the same dismount that she's capable of, but just a jam-packed routine. She also does that back with a full that we saw from Morgan Hurd right here. Oh, actually, I lied. That was gorgeous, though. Flip-up layout. Here it is right here, the back with a full. So complicated and so great.
Added a few new skills, and these 2 are actually one of those. We'll be seeing that a lot more often. They've raised the value of that skill. But so confident, you know, it really...
She always has been, too.
Really has, and as you said,
wow.
Kim, not as difficult as of a dismount, but that dismount right there, I didn't really see much of a deduction.
I hope they didn't take anything, because there was nothing to take. That was a tremendous job. Boy, that first tumbling run, the flip-flop layout, she was sky high, then the back with a full, and to cap it off, that dismount, oh, golly. Look at this, she does a flip-flop, and you know, a lot of people are trying this, but she really bounces the beam. Just gets up in the air, nice position throughout.
And that was hard, but this skill coming up right here, so difficult and just perfect.
And I'll tell you what, you want to do hard stuff, but you want to make it look easy and beautiful, and that is quintessential gymnastics. Fly. Moving towards the international standard, and the green light has just illuminated. So she'll do a half turn onto the board and then fly with 2 twists and a 1.5. Oh, actually only doing a full today.
Now, was that a change, do you think, mid-vault, or do you think that was the plan?
You know what, it's funny, because as I was saying it, I looked over and I saw Kim, and she kind of gave me a look. So I don't know, I'm pretty sure that I saw her training a double twist during podium training.
But you know, this U.S. Classic competition, it really...
Quickly over to the uneven bars. This is Miley O'Keefe, and I want you guys to explain this to our viewers because this session of the U.S. Classic is a senior session. However, we do have a few juniors in this session. Nastia, talk about why.
Well, absolutely. Valerie Lucan, who is now the head coach in the selection committee, they selected some juniors to compete in the senior competition. So they were chosen.
And they're chosen because they're some of the top juniors. As you can see right here, just gorgeous lines. Big release done in combination. Oh boy, that is a major mistake. Was supposed to travel over the bar like she just did there. But I'll tell you, she really has a gorgeous look about her. That's a shame.
It really is, and especially on that skill because it's such an uncharacteristic mistake. It's probably one of the most simple skills in her entire routine.
So what she's trying to do here, she's doing a kip and then swinging to a handstand. She's supposed to have her body go completely over the bar and just doesn't quite drive her heels enough. That one, easy. She is, I'm sure, very disappointed in herself because this is probably one of the easiest elements in the routine.
But you know, sometimes it's really about getting yourself back to where you need to be, and she did just that on the dismount.
This will be lower.
After a short judge's hold, we're ready to go.
And watch right from the top as soon as she gets onto the bar. The first release move that she does.
Check this out. Huge air. Very nicely done, and it keeps going, like I said. One more here. Great work. Good handstand position. Ooh, that was fingertips.
A little low on that handstand, and you
boy.
see she couldn't quite connect to this next skill.
And not disastrous, but not good.
Kind of a veteran cover-up, though. You went over and then managed to keep it moving.
So as we
I
said,
asked Maggie right before the meet begins, so is she ready? And she goes, absolutely not. And she has been beat up, was in a cast on her wrist, and also on crutches at the same time just weeks ago.
you know, and for Riley, it really isn't about getting the highest scores or placing.
Oh boy, she really struggled on that in training. Gonna do a similar skill right here. That one done very nicely.
As I was saying, it's really about getting back out in front of the judges on a podium, on a competition again, and getting ready for later on in the season.
This is a great dismount. Check this out from a L grip. Nicely done. Great recovery.
She worked hard in that routine.
Yeah. You know, not anything near what she wants to be able to do, but.
You know what really stuck out to me is her toe point. If anybody has better toe point, I haven't seen it. That was striking.
So the release skills in the beginning off the top, very nice. Right here you see a nice release, but this she had struggled on in training. Watch, she's supposed to keep her legs together and straight.
She just didn't quite get the rotation that you need for this skill. Just way too close, and it was actually very smart that she did that.
That's an amazing recovery. I was going to say it. That was phenomenal.
But I love the dismount from an L grip, like I said. It's kind of a half in, back out.
Nice fight back.
So she's smiling. Another routine in front of the judges, in front of the big lights on the podium, and it'll serve her well as she heads down to the national championships later this summer. And just to talk about what these arrows mean when you see the scores come up, if there are deductions of 1.3 or less, you get a green triangle, yellow. You hear a lot about gymnasts going on to cheerleading, but rarely do you ever hear about a cheerleader going on to be a gymnast, and that's exactly what Lamy Matson did.
And not only did she do that, but it's only been 3 years since she started gymnastics, and here she is, already an elite gymnast at the U.S. Classic. So we don't really see that vault too often anymore, but it's still very difficult. She does basically a round off onto the board and a full on and a back pike off.
Very complicated. Here's that full twist. Kind of doesn't get it all the way around, but not going to bring in the biggest score. They're looking for more of a turn onto the table for that vault. She trains at Gym Max, where Kyla Ross, part of the 2012 Olympic gold medal team.
So good job for Lamy Matson. And now we're looking at Sydney Johnson-Sharp, and she comes from a legacy of gymnasts, Tim, and her mom, 88 Olympian Brandy Johnson-Sharp.
Yeah, absolutely, and was a vault finalist in those games, 10th in the all-around. At the next World Championships in '89, she won a silver. But her daughter is actually
13.25 for Lamy Matson.
But Sydney is actually not feeling good at all. I went up to her prior to the competition. I said, "How you doing?" And she almost started to cry. She is not feeling well at all, had bronchitis, turned into pneumonia, was feeling a little better, got on the plane, traveled to Chicago, got off, and said she could not breathe. Only doing a full twisting laid out Yurchenko. Nicely done, but a low maximum score. The plan is at this point to petition to a spot at the P&G Championships.
Was it important that she did that vault here, though, as part of that process?
I think so. I believe, and there you see her mom and coach, Brandy Johnson-Sharp, who we mentioned, such a tremendous athlete.
Well, and part of that petitioning process is you do have to show up here at the U.S. Classic and at least do one event to show that you could be ready in the next few weeks to compete at the national championships.
Is capable of doing a more difficult, much more difficult vault than that. But I'll tell you, she does not feel well. I'll tell you.
Not a fun thing to do, compete gymnastics when you're not feeling well, especially when you're spinning around upside down. As we see her 13.2, so low in deductions, but you mentioned a low start value, so not a huge score.
The assistant coach there decided when his daughters were doing so much better in gymnastics that he couldn't keep that job, moved to a gym club called 5280 in Denver, Colorado, to train his young ladies along with a number of other kids as well. That is Dad right there.
Great combination right off the top.
Transition, gorgeous, and right back up. Love that combination. So difficult. She came to play. I'll tell you, a little bit low on that landing. Had to do somewhat of a deep squat, but that was a tremendous exercise.
And it seems like if you want to be a part of Team USA and maybe get to a Worlds or even an Olympics, if you had to pick one event to be great at, it seems like bars is that event.
Well, yeah, it really has. And just even looking out at the trainings and the competition this whole weekend, USA's weakest event used to really be the uneven bars, but in the recent days, weeks, months, this year, they have really improved.
Look at all of this right here. Transitions, and this is the coolest part. Right into a Stalder. Shaposh with a half. Wow.
And I mean, that was a great routine at the very end. Maybe just lacked a little endurance, a little power. Has good technique, piked down a little bit on that landing as well.
And just a short time later, win a major international championships in the all-around. Difficult wolf turn. 3 times around. She'll do another one right here. Only twice around. A little bit of a check right there. Now, the element that she's going to do here, she's going to water down in training. This is a back handspring to 2 layouts. She crashed big time when she missed her second foot on the first layout. They've decided to play a little bit safer.
Just a little shaky on every skill, not quite having that confidence, but as we mentioned earlier, she is just now coming back from multiple injuries, and for her to just be out here in front of the judges, being able to compete again, this is very important for her. But she is just gorgeous. Every skill that she does, beautiful technique, beautiful lines. And here's that dismount.
So just looking to get 2 feet down, both extremely well. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it.
Looked like she had it.
Wow. And there was nothing wrong with this at all. You know, maybe a flash went through her head about, you know, bad times in the past. Great bounce, and just holds on to that tuck too long. Hips are way in back of her heels.
Here we go, Deanne Souza.
To catch Alonia. Another relatively basic tumbling pass. But once again, as we said all night long, this is really a stepping stone to the national championships that'll happen in less than 3 weeks in Anaheim, California.
Well, it was a great night for her, but again, didn't do all the difficulty that she'll hopefully be doing in a few weeks at the national championships. So now it's time to get back in the gym and get those routines ready.
Not a night to take chances. That time will come later.
No, absolutely.
Did it. Very good.
You know, it's so hard as an athlete to do that, though, especially when you're doing well. But, you know, you got to think about it. You got to think long term. And that's exactly what she was doing here. Obviously capable of doing something much more difficult than this. Really a simple back laid out somersault.
It was beautiful, though.
Yeah, it reminds
nice.
me of you, John, when you would do your layout and your floor routine. It looked like that.
That was my real pass, though.
But ending, of course, with something a little bit more difficult, a double pike. Just a little bit too low on that landing. We'll have some deduction, but
Over